Yes, no? It's not required, no? We need all normal presentation. Can you see the screen, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you are recording, you can start recording.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like this one should go. Full screen, okay. Then I'm not able to see. Okay. Okay, shall I start, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Uh, my dear participants, welcome to this FDP program. This is the first session. And of course, you had probably inaugural session before me. And I'm asked to speak on the introduction to the computational fluid dynamics, its analysis, applications, and developments. So the orientation of my lecture will be in this fourfold. One is CFD, a brief overview I'll present first. And then we'll discuss briefly what is CFD analysis and some applications. Of course, plenty of them I will show, but we'll discuss maybe a few. And developments. The developments are actually endless, but I will only share one slide on the developments that are taking place in CFD. So first of all, I'm assuming that you are all beginners and don't know anything, although I know most of you may be also having some kind of expertise on CFD. But being introductory lecture, I'm starting with this kind of slide. So what is CFD and what do we learn in this subject? So computational fluid dynamics essentially consists of computational methodologies and its tools and techniques for numerically solving. That is most important. The solutions actually are numerical solutions of the problems which are directly or indirectly associated with fluid mechanics, fluid dynamics, heat transfer, combustion, etc. Now, the constituents of CFD are basically first the physical problem. Depending on the problem, you define the physics and geometric description of the problem, of the physics of the problem. And then after geometric description, you have to give the mathematical description of the problem and the numerical methods. So these are the four major constituents of CFD, apart from some peripheral constituents. Now, the physical problem, the CFD actually addresses to solve a physical problem. And the physical problems may be arising from the physics, or from chemistry, or from basic sciences, or from engineering sciences, or from applications of various industries and so on. Therefore, the problem first, as the problem is presented to us, it should be first understood. And as to formulate into the CFD, we have to understand the important geometric and physical variables which are involved in the problem. Then we should understand the laws that are governing the interrelationship among those variables. Suppose you have velocity, pressure, and so on. And those variables, what are the relationships depending on the problem? What are the laws that govern? For example, basic laws like governing conservation of mass, momentum, energy. And then inside, if it's a free convection problem, the laws related to buoyancy and so on. And if there are chemical reactions, the reaction kinetics and so on, and the combustion kinetics and combustion dynamics and so on. So those are the various physical laws which also should be need to be understood. And then to be along with the governing equations, you should also write the equations which are related to those basic laws. Then conditions applied to solve the governing equations, such as initial conditions, if it is an initial value problem, boundary conditions, and inlet outlet conditions, So if it's an insulated condition or some heat flux is given or some currents are flowing or some nuclear reactions are taking place or combustion is taking place and so on. So related to those physics, we need to give the conditions to solve the equations completely. So this is basic description of the physical problem. Then we need to understand the generation of physical model. This physical model actually depends on the problem at hand. So first is the geometry and domain. You must understand where is the physical problem to be solved. But therefore the geometry and the numeric computational domain or physical domain needs to be understood and then maybe modeled. Then you also need to know, depending on the problem, on which coordinate systems you have to solve the equations. And correspondingly, the equations based on the flow physics and flow conditions need to be written completely. And this we call it generally as formulation or computational formulation or formulation of the physical problem. Then, as far as the geometry and domain is concerned, there are various typical approaches for geometry approximation. And of course, nowadays we'll do the CAD techniques and CAE integration. And in that, use of industry standards such as Parasolid, ICS, STEP or AGS, etc. You may use any of these formats, and then you can model the geometry and the computational domain, and we need to properly integrate it. This particular thing, this is of course initial step. The coming steps, what are the ensuing steps need to be integrated closely with the geometry. So therefore, the mathematics and the whatever geometric details, analytical geometry details which we have learned in our basic engineering courses, first year, etc., should be also should be brought into picture so that we can effectively solve the CFD. The coordinate systems are very important. Depending on the physics of the problem, you may use Cartesian systems like XYZ system, or cylindrical coordinate systems, or theta Z, or spherical coordinate system, rare but occasionally may be required. Should be appropriately chosen for a better resolution of the geometry. So one can solve any geometry in XYZ system or any other system, but if you choose the geometry, the coordinate system properly, then it will become easier. For example, if it is a cylindrical flow past cylinder, for example, circular pipe, then if you choose cylindrical coordinates, it becomes relatively simpler. And then, so as shown in the picture, Cartesian, cylindrical, and spherical coordinate systems are shown here. So this I don't have to expand too much because all the participants should be very familiar with this kind of geometrical coordinate systems. Now, another important thing is that depending on the problem at hand, the frames of reference or the coordinate systems are divided into two major parts. One is inertial frame of reference. It may be a stationary inertial frame of reference, or moving frame, or rotating frame. For example, if you take a turbo machinery problem, then because it is a rotating system, say our electrical machine problem, then since they are rotating machines, we need to use rotating physics pre-processing, solution, post-processing. These are the important steps in the thing. So now I will leave. This is basically analysis part. CFD analysis consists of these three steps. Now application. Oh, okay. If I have a okay, now I understand. Assuming that I understand everything, and of course after doing the classes, and then we write a program, or we buy a code. We just go to market and buy some code, and we have the code with us, or maybe in-house code, or in fact in the last the lecture will be based on for the open form. I think open form will be introduced to you. That is another forum where based on which you can develop your own codes, and using any code. What is one of the important applications? So I will just deal upon a simple application which you can do it in the class as an assignment. Give an assignment to the students. Very simple thing. Then what I am basically trying to say is how do you introduce product design and development? Nowadays, of course, in the self-reliant country, we require a lot of products to be developed, and CFD will be a very important tool for that purpose. So how do you integrate CFD in the product design? That we will first see, and I will give an example how to do that in a classroom scenario. See, if you look at the traditional design part, you have a basic need of a product, say product or a process, and then you do a market survey. Then you have concept design. Concept design may be assisted with patents and other inputs like publications, available research information. All that will give you a concept design, and then based on that you make a model. Then you successfully test the model by simulation or by experiments. After successful testing, you do the prototype testing, and then after prototype testing, after successful testing of prototypes, you will go to production. This is the normal steps, and based on the customer inputs, you may do further R&D, and this loop continues. This is basically the traditional design path, and this is called design cycle. Then, for example, the traditional design path, wind tunnel tests are performed to access the aerodynamic performance of a device subject to an external flow field. For example, aircraft or even an automobile vehicle, marine vessel, aerospace vessels, buildings, turbo machine blades, and all these kind of things will require wind tunnel tests. It's not necessarily wind tunnel, but any test, the testing may have to be done. So if you see in the previous slide, in the model development, prototype testing, in many places you will be testing what you have already designed. So these tests can be done can be avoided if you can. Of course, you may do the testing, physical testing, but they can be avoided by means of the computational simulations. The simulations will either completely avoid, or it will reduce the total number of simulations to a minimum. So that is the basic purpose of CFD, and that will reduce the total cycle of the product development. The product development environment requires the ability to predict the performance of concept designs of a product or process before it is ever manufactured or implemented. So that is as I just shown in the flow chart. Regardless of the challenges, CFD plays a prominent role in product development for specific applications that are dependent on the physical flow. And now making CFD as an integral part of the engineering design and analysis prediction, performance prediction of the product is called CFD in product development. So in many industries nowadays, there is a separate CFD cell wherein the product development cycles are reduced to the extent possible, and the CFD engineer is asked to tell them, account the time, how much time is reduced in the overall product cycle. But just to give an example, say an automobile entire design, which was taking so for example, in the early 2000s, it was taking a year. Now the design cycle is only about not more than a month. So therefore, the CFD has helped in designing and in improving the product cycle for these in the industry. So therefore, CFD engineers will be required in the engineering industry for the development of products as well. And if you are doing a startup, in the startup also it will be you require the CFD tools and FEA tools, so that you can quickly come up with the models and simple other prototypes, You can quickly get them so that you will assess the performance of your design models and prototypes, and then you can confidently get into the production. So thus these tools are now playing an increasingly important role in the design stage itself, and therefore the learning CFD and CFD tools will be quite helpful for both the teachers and the students. Now I will take a simple example here, and then here what you can try this kind of example in your classroom. So this is done in a classroom environment. It is hardly takes more than an hour. So therefore, so you in classroom environment, in a laboratory environment, you can do this. So the modeling parameters of a car body are given. Okay, this what I show in the car is very exotic, but you can change the way you require. The length is given, height is given. So basically the geometry is described, and this internal, it is supposed, if it is a physical testing, you are supposed to take this car model, put it in a wind tunnel, test it for its external aerodynamics, and then say if you are satisfied with the external aerodynamics of the thing in the wind tunnel, then you go ahead with the production or a prototype testing. So that being the case, the same thing can be replaced now. The actual wind tunnel testing can be replaced by means of CFD. For example, a very simple way we define the geometry of an automotive vehicle, a car body. Okay, and then so you do the, so first is geometry. Okay, let me go back. This is the geometry identified in the coordinate system, XYZ coordinate system. Of course, this is 2D, what I have shown here. So it is 2D XY system. Then you do the meshing. The meshing, what is shown here is hybrid mesh, very close to the body, which is boundary layer. You may call it boundary layer, but well, very close to the body, you have a structured mesh, and away from the body, where you can use inviscid flow. That is called that there we use the unstructured mesh. So the worst is basically entire thing is a hybrid mesh. So this mesh can be done about in 10 minutes time in the classroom environment if you have a proper code. Okay, then you solve it. Then the solver I'm not showing here. So you solve this by governing equations, because the solvers will be separately taught to you. So after solving, you get the velocities around the body. As you can see here, the velocity pattern of the velocity around the body can be seen. In the front, the velocity is 0 because of stagnation. In the rear stagnation, again velocities will be very low, 0, and otherwise there will be flow variations depending on the boundary conditions. The velocity pattern can be assessed, and even the bottom of the vehicle, there is some certain flow velocity, as you can see, and of course that is the relative velocity. Then pressure. The pressure, the body has to, how thick this skin should be. So to decide on that, so the body should withstand the pressure loads. So then the pressure contours are to be determined. Find out the pressure loads, and these loads are the body is adequate enough, is strong enough to withstand these pressure loads. It has to be assessed. So that can be assessed by knowing the pressure loading, and whether static pressure and total pressure, and then the turbulent kinetic energy. So if the turbulence also plays a role, and more as far as car body is concerned, the turbulence will give rise to some kind of aerodynamic noise, and this noise sometimes is not palatable. So of course you close the window sheets, but even if you close these things, there may be certain noise generated because of turbulence. So, and of course turbulence, more importantly, it will generate drag. The drag generated by the turbulence should also be reduced to the extent possible. The turbulent kinetic energy contours will give us an idea of how much drag is generated due to the turbulence, and then if you can, by properly redesigning the vehicle, you can reduce the turbulent kinetic energy. Now suppose somebody models it as a formula car. Okay, take some shape like this. So here in the previous case, you have a CD value for example for this model is 0.74. Normally the very good aerodynamic cars like BMW and so on will have the CD value, the drag coefficient, overall drag coefficient value of the order of 0.3 to 0.4, very high. Otherwise, like ambassador cars will have something like 0.9 drag coefficients. Therefore, there is a variation of drag coefficients. They are permissible, up to 1 is permissible, but then you can model the car as per the requirements. Then, so for example, I use a formula car, use the same same steps, same geometry, mesh generation, solving, contours, and then finally find out the CD value. CD value comes down to 0.35 in this case. So therefore, you can quickly do this kind of exercise in your classroom environment, and then estimate the. And so you can study the pressure distributions. Okay. Yeah, I have seen the question, but please, I will address it at the end. So these are basic. Basic science is something which gives you the governing equations and helps you in formulating the problem. Then you are going to write a computer code incorporating these basic sciences into your computer program, programming using a numerical method like finite element or finite volume or finite difference. You are going to discretize the governing equations, take the help of models, different numerical models, and solve them, and use schemes such as very stable schemes, and then numerically solve those equations, and then plot the numerical results. That is what we are seeing here. The plot of the numerical results is what we are seeing here. Then interpret your results, and the global values, like for example drag coefficient, you can estimate from these contours or from the numerical values, and from there you will take design decisions. For example, this design is okay, or further modifications are required. So this will give us, the physics will give us what kind of flow pattern is there, and whether there is any flow separation, where the kinetic energy is very high, where I can reduce, where I can shape the body shape optimization can be done, etc. So those kinds of decisions a designer can take by looking at the CFD patterns. So that is the basic idea. So basic sciences are important and are required to arrive at these final solutions. Okay, now I will take maybe just very quickly, I will browse various CFD applications which we have done in our laboratory. I will only browse these applications. So in various complex geometries, what you are going to see in the coming slides are various complex geometries, various optimization of various critical components, force and natural convection cooling schemes, sizing, calculation of drag and lift, HVAC cabin designs, operating points of a cooling fan, various positioning of various inlets, fans, outlets of fans and kind of machines like that, and establishing various spacing requirements between various parts of devices like heat exchangers, optimization of size and shape of the heat sinks, and so on. So some of them I will quickly show. There, I mean, the problems are endless. So we can do many things with CFD. So, and in what kind of areas? Aerospace, biomedical, chemical processing, automotive, consumer goods, marine, engineering, in the energy industry, military and environment. There is no, I mean, again, the industry, the endless list, including medical devices. Nowadays, medical devices are very, very important. For example, ventilators are being made, and then the flow in the ventilators is very important for the ventilator design. So CFD can help. Military and defense applications, avionics, in many places the CFD will be helpful. And subjects wise, you can say mathematics, material science, process engineering, biomechanics, environmental engineering, manufacturing engineering, energy engineering, turbo machines, gas turbine, aerospace and propulsion, nuclear technology, miscellaneous applications. So in many engineering disciplines, this will be helpful. And of course, nowadays, all the disciplines, for example, robotics and so on, MEMS and other things are interdisciplinary, highly interdisciplinary. Entire medical engineering, medical science is basically biomedical engineering is completely interdisciplinary. And the entire interdisciplinary thing, CFD plays a very large role, very important role. So I will just quickly say, so mathematicians themselves will develop various codes and various mathematical tools and these table schemes for the for solving the methods. So as you know, the numerical schemes can be highly unstable if you don't use proper numerical scheme. So these numerical schemes will be told to you by one of the lectures. So therefore, the stable schemes are developed by mathematicians nowadays. That is one of the important developments in mathematics. And materials engineering, the material structure. So it's not simply materials, simple strength of materials, but actually internal grain growth simulations will help you in the phase transformations, decision of what kind of compositions you should use, what kind of tailor-made materials you can use, what kind of boundary conditions will help you, interfacial conditions will help you in designing the composite structures and so on. So various material science related simulations using CFD will be helpful. The process engineering. So in the Aspen Plus, etc., so many simulation tools are available. Many simulation tools nowadays, including AutoCAD, SolidWorks, etc., have got CFD component inside. Although they are not very very good in the sense that they are not very detailed, but definitely every software nowadays will come up with certain capabilities of CFD tools. But if you can yourself develop those codes. And biomechanics, as I was mentioning, biomedical engineering, biomechanics, rehabilitation engineering, for example, the prostheses and so on. So in many places, in medical colleges and hospitals, these models are being used. And environmental engineering, for example, in the power plants, you use the cyclones, for example, which will separate the solid particles from the fluids, and the solid particles are separated out. Only permissible amount of solids are made to enter the ambient atmosphere. So you can design, you can find out the flow paths as shown in these pictures in the devices such as electrostatic precipitators and cyclones and so on. So because these are very important, and the demand of the power plants nowadays, environmental demand is to improve the performance of such devices. Okay, otherwise they have to close the power plants. So therefore, it's very important to understand the physics and to design these kind of parts, the power plants, and in general energy parts. And this is some of the simulations, the emissions. You can find out the emissions. You can calculate the emissions in boilers, in steam generators, coal-fired boilers. The NOx emissions, SOx emissions can be calculated. So this gives you a particular model which we have done in the things. One can actually do such models and find out the emissions from the power plants. And the combustion model is important for the emissions also. So the combustion, the fireball need to be simulated in the combustion chamber of the boiler. So that simulation is shown in this picture. Now the toxic gases have to be sometimes simulated nowadays. This is what I was talking. What we simulated long ago is actually chlorine leak in a particular room with certain exhaust events and so on. And if you want to design a ventilating house, where say how many exhaust vents are required, if there is some poisonous gas or some some viral load is now done. This similar experiments are being done now with COVID virus. So we inject, say, for example, somebody sneezes in one corner, how fast it will move. The virus moves can be predicted by using simulations, by using CFD simulations.
Department is
multi-phase simulations. Yes, sir.
I
will take the questions at the end. Okay, sir. Now this. Okay, then now. So this is some fuel cell simulations. PEM fuel cells can be simulated. How much is the water generation inside and so on. So these are some of the examples. And so the quantity of air and hydrogen and water that will be prevalent in this, and the kind of reactions that take place across the inside the field can be calculated, and the designs of the fuel cells can be made. So likewise, this is electrostatic precipitators. So I can just in manufacturing also it is very important in the metal mold interfaces. In 3D printing, for example, nowadays we are using CFD codes and of course many other FEA tools. The castings and re-entry space vehicles, the temperature distributions and actual and estimated values, inverse solutions, okay, and the energy engineering, various types of fluidized bed technologies and the wind turbines, heat recovery systems, heat exchangers, both shell and tube heat exchangers, and various turbo machines, and the okay, yeah. Okay, and then various turbo machines, radial machines, axial machines, well, gas turbines, okay, and blade cooling applications, seals, impingement, film cooling, in aerospace and propulsion applications. So like this, you can imagine any number of applications, and in the propulsion, in the turbo pump, in the cryogenic turbine, cryogenic stage, you have the turbo pump application, the nuclear engineering, the various thermal hydraulics in the nuclear reactor, and so on. Okay, and various miscellaneous applications like simple furnaces, bake oven furnaces, and rice sorter is one application. We have rice sorting, machines, and even simple flushing tanks. Okay, and so on. So these are some of the. I will close now. So these are various applications. So this list is endless. Now if you go to any application you take, CFD will play its role either in the design or in or while doing the testing or in the kind of in the maintenance or processing. So therefore the CFD is quite elaborative. Therefore, in this introductory lecture, I think I have covered many applications, and then the very brief introduction to the CFD. And of course, there are the coming 5-6 lectures. Each and every detail of this will be taught. But of course, this being a very short program, you will be exposed to those details, and you can appreciate the complexity of CFD, and at the same time the importance and the kind of interdisciplinary nature of the CFD tools. Then I will just close with a small. I will close with the quick developments, but the developments are in every area. So whatever advances that are taking place, right from geometry modeling to the post processing, the developments that are taking place are enormous. On CFD, the publications are something like at least 2,000 to 3,000 per month. Okay, and peer-reviewed journal publications. Therefore, the developments are stupendous. Therefore, one has to narrow down his area and understand and study those aspects, and then get into the advances and the developments in that particular respective area. Therefore, I will not separate each of them. So, well, some of them I have listed here, but it is very short list. So I think I will stop here, and I will take questions maybe for the 10 minutes or so. Okay. Now,
Sir, I read out the questions.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
Yeah, sir, shall I go through these questions which are available here
Sir,
Sir, good evening, sir.
question, sir.
from the chart?
Hello.
Yeah, okay, maybe you can ask.
Yeah, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, may I know the brief introduction regarding the cooling technologies for gas turbine blades?
Okay, gas turbine blade cooling. See, normally you can classify them into two methods. One is external, another is internal. External means the high temperature gas and the blade. The blade should not reach the temperature of the gas. Therefore, there should be a film between the high temperature gas and the blade. The provision of the film by means of a coolant which is coming from inside the blade and covering the blade completely is called film cooling. So the film acts like a resistance, thermal resistance, and this resistance will not allow the heat to be transferred from the mainstream to the blade. So that is called external cooling. So this is external, and internal is once, okay, whatever little it may be, if suppose some heat is enters to the blade surface, the blade surface should not reach the melting temperature or the the recrystallization temperature and so on. So therefore, it should be maintained within the safe working temperature. To maintain that, the blade interior should be cooled. So blade interior is cooled mainly with three schemes. One is impingement cooling, where very focused areas like leading edge, trailing edge, or wherever hot spots are possible, very intense cooling is required, where you will use impingement cooling. A air jet is used onto that area where intense, very high heat transfer coefficient is available there. So intense heat removal is possible with the impingement cooling. And secondly, you will have again film cooling, which is also possible inside, and fin cooling. There you will use small fins at the trailing edge region, where the area is increased to improve the heat transfer. So these are the increasing the area, increasing the various passages, and then you put some kind of serpentine passages and so on, increasing by putting rib turbulators and so on. So increasing the area by means of putting turbulators, by means of putting pin fins, and by increasing the surface area, increasing the conduction heat transfer and convection heat transfer. That is one. Impingement is another. Fin is another. So these are the three methods which you do for the internal cooling. So this is briefly the cooling of gas turbines.
Yeah, sir, one more question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I can cool the gas turbine fixed blades by means of impingement or some sort of passages like that. But
no, both fixed as well as rotating. Rotating also is possible.
But how the rotating blades are moves along at the speed of nearly 20,000 RPM? Then how you can cool the moving blades?
See, the movement is something to do with your supply of the system, supply of the coolant to the blade. Once the supply comes into the blades, okay, the coolant air enters the blades through the. So there basically there are seals. There is actually there is a system called secondary air system. The secondary air system allows the coolant to go into the rotor. So there is a sealants. There are basically seals which will allow that which will not permit the leakage. So which will allow the coolant to get into the rotating blade. So once the blade enters the rotor, the rotor blades, once the flow enters, when the coolant enters this, it doesn't matter. Okay, only of course the values of heat transfer coefficient will differ because of the rotation. But otherwise, whether it's the rotating blade or stationary blade, the cooling schemes are similar. Okay, so if you want, actually I have a secondary air system complete analysis of secondary air system. Maybe I can some other time, or maybe you can separate it. This send me a mail or something. You can discuss separately. Yes, how exactly it is done in a secondary air system. So there is a system called secondary air system, and using that system, so one can actually use it rotating blades, not only stationary blades but also rotating blades.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir. With your permission, I would like to read out the questions in the chat box, sir, for the help of all the participants.
Sir, you are not audible. What I suggest, sir, so now the time is 12:30. So what I suggest is, I will go through, you can put this in the chart. I will take down the questions, or you can send me this chart questions by email. I will send these replies by mail.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you.
So that you can circulate the question and answer to everybody.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Because time may not be permissible now for
Yes,
individual.
yes, sir. We'll
Right,
send
sir.
it,
Right, sir. Thank you very much.
On behalf of all the participants and Bharatiya Vignana Mandali and the organizing institutes, we thank you for sparing your time, valuable time, for giving all the participants a valuable knowledge regarding CFD, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So I'll retire, sir, from here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You
Okay,
can
thank
leave.
you, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
And we are closing the session, and we'll meet at we are closing the session. We'll meet at sharp.
For all the participants, small information. Thank you for being with us in this program of CFD. We'll start at 2. We'll start the second session at 2 p.m. Thank you. All the participants are requested to please join
closing
again
the
at
session.
2 p.m. Thank you. We'll be closing the session.